I learned a lot on booktube in the year and a half that I've been a creator. Almost as much as I learned from my dog, Princessa Jasmine. Aloha and welcome back to my channel. I'm Marilyn Maya, and today is a year and a half on booktube. So I thought I would do some reaching back and thinking about what I learned from this experience, which is a lot. I started my booktube experience on my 70th birthday a year and a half ago. And though I was myself, I was the outgoing part of myself. I'm an introverted extrovert, which means that most of the time I'm an introvert, but since I used to be on stage, dancing, singing when I was very young, I do have an extroverted side. And I wanted to bring that out when I started booktube. But I learned during this year and a half that that's not the only side of me that I want to present to booktube. And when my booktube channel stopped growing, I started getting a little depressed, as one does. So I wanted to share with you what I learned about the booktube experience, readers, reading, and just a little bit of my reading tastes that I thought weren't going to change. They were set in stone, but I was wrong. You know, you can't please everyone, you know. Some booktubers grow very fast. Some grow at a much slower rate, and that's okay. But we, as people, you know, most of the time we want to be winners. We want to be liked. I would say we want to be liked more than we want to win. But yeah, so that's part of my booktube experience. You know, like I said, I was a little cocky when I started out. You know, I thought my reading tastes were what they were, and I wasn't going to change. Boy, was I wrong, or should I say, girl, was I wrong. Okay, so my mother taught me how to read when I was very young, maybe 2 or 3, and she was a voracious reader, but she also, her life was interrupted by mental illness. So she didn't think well of people who read either, even though she wanted me to be a reader. So she was like 2 ways about it. And I think I said in another video that I found out a lot about things through reading. And one day she came up to me, you know, I was laying in the bed reading a book, and it was about cleaning house. And she said, Marilyn's trying to learn how to, she's cleaning house while reading in bed. You know, and that was sort of a put down. And that got me to thinking that readers get a lot of put downs, even though, so I wrote down these few things. So she believed the lies that people think or tell about readers. So I can only speak for the USA, but I imagine that this might be true in a lot of countries, that USA in particular prizes sociability and community. And they pay lip service to the virtues of reading, and they're kind of suspicious of people who read too much. And I was a target because of that. She's lazy, she's aimless, she's a dreamer, she has to grow up, get a real life. Alone equals loner, loner equals loser. All of this is not true. So what did I learn by being in the community? Well, I learned that my tastes in reading have gone through a change, and they aren't set in stone, and you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So, you know, I also learned that the community is filled with a lot of personality types and a lot of different readers. And I learned from booktubers who are smarter than I am. And I knew they were smarter than I am, and they taught me so much, you know. So I'm not sure about anything anymore except that I love this community. So let me go through some things that have changed. Okay, so what have I learned? I learned that I can start out liking a book and get through the whole book, like Alice Feeney's Rock, Paper, Scissors, and then hate the way it turned out in the end, and also hated all the characters by the end. And that I could hate a book in the beginning, like the sentence, and then really love it as I went through it. So I learned that not to judge a book by the beginning, and to also let myself try things that I thought were either above me or that I wasn't smart enough to read. Okay, what else did I learn? Well, I learned that I can really get into new genres and new authors. For example, Barbara Pym. I love Barbara Pym, and I never, even though I heard of her before, I never really thought that she would be a reader, and I'm a reader, that would touch me in the way that she has touched me. What else did I learn? I learned that I can love a book from the first sentence, and that's Edna O'Brien's Country Girls, that it could make me so happy. I kind of knew books made me happy, but laugh out loud happy, yeah, I love Edna O'Brien. I also learned that a series can start out being wonderful and then you lose interest, like my recent Kingdom of the Blind by Louise Penny. I loved her first book, Still Life, and I thought I would go through the whole series, but I got stuck somewhere in the middle and I just couldn't go on. But I did read this book and I liked it, but I don't think I'm going to continue with the series. And that's sad because she's a wonderful writer. It's just that I think I got all that I can get from reading that book. What else did I learn? I learned that Agatha Christie still scares me. And I'm reading Endless Night with Brian at Bookish, and I'm almost at the end. Only one person has died, and yet the whole book was just gothic, scary, wonderful, and I'm scared to read the end, but I will. I also learned that I found a new author, and even though the book was a little expensive, it was a translated book. And when I got this in the mail, Alberta and Freedom, it made me so happy. So Cora Sandell, another new writer that I love, and I can't wait to read this book. I read Alberta and Jacob, and this is a trilogy, Alberta and Freedom and Alberta Alone. And the funny part is I read some short stories from her that didn't grab me. So I learned that maybe some authors' books are not for you, and then you'll find a series or another book that will be just glorious. So, and that's another thing I learned. I learned that I can get jealous of a writer, and that's okay. And this is Hot Milk by Deborah Levy. And I haven't read it yet, but I bought all of her books, and she's just a wonderful writer, as is Cora Sandell, of course. I learned that I can still get excited about buying magazines, even if they cost $13. And this one was by Health, Anti-Inflammation. And I couldn't resist. So it makes me feel good to read about ways I can improve my health. And, you know, I paid more for this magazine than I did for books, but it makes me happy to look at beautiful pictures. And Yeah, I just love this book, this magazine. And I also read Writer's Digest, and because it makes me feel hopeful about being a writer. So I'm going to end this video here. I don't want to make it too long, but I want to thank everybody for teaching me. My readers, my subscribers, my friends, the booktube friends that I've made who've introduced me to all these books. And I hope that I can make it in another year and a half on booktube. So I'm almost at 1,000, so please subscribe and like and hit the notification bell for more of the Baby Boomer Booktuber. So I'll leave you here with love and much aloha.